Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin. That's right, it's Wednesday, but because tomorrow is Turkey Day, Thanksgiving, everyone's going to be with family, we decided to do our live show tonight to get you prepared for the Sunday matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But before we get into all of it, Glenn, how's it going, man? How you doing?
It's going pretty good. Excited about tomorrow. Excited to eat some good food, have good company, and of course, watch what looks to be a pretty good slate of games here next week. But also excited about this upcoming matchup. I think the Ravens certainly showed a little bit of rust coming out of the bye week with the lack of practice time. I think it showed in the sluggish start to the game, at least offensively.
Mm-hmm.
But let's hope that they've knocked that rust off and they're prepared to go down to Jacksonville and take on the Jags.
Absolutely. But Glenn, I got something ad hoc here that I'm just going to throw at you that I was thinking about today that I think would be cool to do. It'd be really fun. Won't take a lot of brain power. All right, we're going to do a 3-round draft of the things we are most grateful for involving the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh,
anything
wow.
involving the Baltimore
Why
Ravens.
do you always drop things on me
I
live?
thought about this 5 minutes before the show because this is
well,
fun.
You could have mentioned it 5 minutes before the show.
You're a smart guy.
Well, don't lie to me in front of people.
Yeah, I'll start, so I'll give you some time to think.
All right, good. Go ahead.
Okay? I am grateful for the stability in ownership for the Baltimore Ravens. Extremely grateful for that. From the Modell to Bisciotti, I think we got a group of great ones. And on Thanksgiving week, I can't help be thankful for having a group of good owners. We don't have the Haslams or, a bunch of other guys that don't want to spend money. Not that the Haslams don't spend money. They're, a whole other set of issues. We don't have the Texans ownership group. None of that. We got a great owner. Super happy for it. So my first pick is old Steve Bisciotti and the owners.
Wow. All right. Well, what am I thankful for in here? Well, I tell you what, my favorite style of football is ground and pound, play defense, mainly because that's what I was raised here in Baltimore watching. So I'm thankful that they've kind of readopted that run-first offensive game plan that I think kind of went by the wayside for a couple years towards the latter part of Joe's career. But yeah, ground and pound, play good defense. Thankful for that.
You guys heard that. Glenn is thankful for Greg Roman. You heard it first here. Glenn is thankful for Greg Roman.
Thankful for the philosophy, okay? But I am thankful for Greg Roman. Sure, why not?
I'm just kidding.
It's the holiday. Hey, the Chef 87, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, man.
Bailey got beats. What's going on? Happy holidays. Connor, appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Connor, I think that's the same Connor that we met at the preseason game 2 years back now.
Nice. Okay. Look at you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my number 2, though, Glenn, and this might be even more inflammatory, but it's John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh, I'm extremely grateful for. If you take a look around the league right now, these first year coaches, not lighting the world on fire.
Struggling.
There's a number of them. Of course, I think of the Broncos coach. I think of McDaniels, who's not a first year coach, but sort of. I know he's did it before, but he hasn't been a head coach in a long time. And there's a lot of teams that are struggling at head coach. The Colts went in really deep in the bag to get a former player, of course, who only had high school coaching experience. And so there are teams out there looking for and would love to have a John Harbaugh. So grateful for good old JH John Harbaugh.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one there. I am thankful for what Lamar Jackson has done for this city, this franchise. The amount of extra eyes he's brought to this team, I think, is it's just something you can't doubt. This guy has brought a ton of new fans to the Baltimore Ravens, and I hope that whatever happens, that at least for that, whatever happens with Lamar Jackson moving forward, I certainly hope he's here long term. But whatever ends up happening, he certainly made an impact in this city. And so I'm thankful for what he's brought to the Ravens, not just on the field, but more so focusing on what he's brought off the field, the added attention, the extra, anytime you can grow your fan base. And I think he's grown it not just in the Baltimore area, but you're talking about internationally. This guy is so well known. And I thought, I can't remember who tweeted this, but I thought it was well said. Just imagine, I saw Lamar Jackson tweeted something about not having something about his Thanksgiving meal might get somehow messed up and he's going to be hungry. And somebody tweeted back just saying, imagine being someone who could literally knock on any door in this area and be welcomed in with a big plate of food. Like that's how beloved Lamar Jackson is in this area, that he could almost knock on any door and get in and get some food.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about me for a second when you transitioned into But Lamar's got me beat by a little bit.
A little bit.
I'll let him have it. So my last one, it really comes to no surprise. You talked about philosophy, but I got to give it up to the pillars that helped create this team, right? And what we are. Ray Lewis from the very beginning. You can't help but be thankful for Ray. His presence is forever felt, will be forever felt. So I'm simply grateful for 5-2, dude. Like a big part of that philosophy you talked about was because of him and the rest of that crew, but certainly he was the ringleader. So grateful for old 5-2, man.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, there's so many we could talk about. But I will say, man, I only have one left.
I know it's tough, right?
It is certainly tough. Let me see if I can encapsulate all of them. And well, I'll say this: I'm thankful for the new additions to the team, both draft picks and free agents. I think that Linderbaum's made such a massive difference in the center of the offensive line. Can't wait to see Marcus Williams, who we're excited to announce that he's back at practice, and can't wait to see him back out on the field. I don't know if, I'm thankful that Justin Houston was brought back, even though he's not necessarily a newcomer. He's brought back. Certainly thankful for that. But yeah, all the new Likely.
I like it.
Travis Jones, all the newcomers to the team. I think that this year the front office really knocked it out of the park and got a bunch of new contributors. So thankful for that.
But I tell you what, I know what both of us are most grateful for when it comes to the Ravens is the community that supports us. Super grateful for all you guys. Thanks for coming out all the time. Thanks for hitting us up and supporting us and watching the show and making it possible for us to do what we do. So hopefully the feelings are reciprocal. All that being said, enough of the sentimentals. Let's get into some football.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right,
hey, so a shout out though, quick. Nicholas, appreciate you joining us. Bailey, thanks for the kind words. Appreciate you coming out and watching us.
Absolutely.
And Lisa Ann, what's going on? Appreciate you. Yes, there will be some cooking done tomorrow. No doubt about it. But yeah, let's get into this matchup. Excited. A game in which the Ravens are once again heavy favorites, taking on a 3-7 Jaguars team. Obviously, the Ravens come in at 7-3, so teams in complete opposite, different, opposite kind of trajectories. It looks like though the Jaguars did finally get a coach that at least the fan base and the front office can kind of buy into, rally around, and hopefully
the bar wasn't too high.
No, they had made some really bad hiring decisions, and but it looks like they got a keeper, certainly in Peterson. But let's get right into what we always start with, and that's the injury report. I want to throw it up here on the screen here so we can go through it together. Because it's starting to get a little bit lengthy, but I think a lot of this is just veteran related. So as you can see, I'll start with the defense. Jalen Armour-Davis, hip, did not participate. Calais Campbell, not injury related, just rest. Kyle Hamilton has that knee injury, but as you can see, Jonas Schaefer tweeted out that John Harbaugh considers Kyle Hamilton's injury to be day-to-day, along with tackle Ronnie Stanley. And then the other two big defensive names you can see are also rest-related with Justin Houston and Marcus Peters. So really no concerns outside of Kyle Hamilton on the defensive side of the ball. Because, of course, we want Jalen Armour-Davis to get healthy, but he's not a main contributor right now on the team. So not a big loss to see him not out there. So really it's just the Kyle Hamilton, which is a shame because, man, is that guy playing out of his mind right now. And I'm going to get into it later, but he would be very useful in this game because this is a game in which tackling is going to be huge, and tackling in space is something that Kyle Hamilton has been doing at a very high level in the last few games.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think, like you said, while the list is getting long, I think there are things to be thankful for, right? In that there's a lot of trends moving in the right direction, and the fact that Ronnie is, so far, everything is checking out.
Yeah.
Right. Which is great news, especially because that was the ankle that was basically reconstructed from, multiple times. And then, like you said, Hamilton, a lot of positive news there. So a lot of good stuff there. Obviously, I think I don't know about you. I think the two biggest surprises for me, Kevin Zeitler and Lamar Jackson. Kevin's out for the illness. I seriously doubt he's going to miss the game. And then Lamar with the hip. He had a hip last year as well, had a little bit of a hip issue as well. Yep. So we'll hope that maybe it's just a bit more rest than anything else.
But still, it's concerning. I mean, you don't want Lamar Jackson missing practice when already, certainly the passing offense isn't hitting on all cylinders. So Missing practice, not good.
Need that reps to get themselves in sync and get some real synergy going into that game. So, but look, the Ravens are looking for their 5th win in a row this season.
Yep.
I'm calling it, Glenn. The Ravens are running the table the rest of the year. You heard it here.
Dang. Can you not spoil the whole rest of the show by immediately giving out your pick? I mean, what's going on?
Oh, well, you already knew which way I was going to go.
I thought maybe you'd take the Jags this week.
Yeah, right. I think I've only taken the other team once on this show.
And you were wrong.
Yeah, you lead the show in taking the opponent.
Sounds made up. That sounds
made up. Yeah. So anyway, let's get right into it. Like I said, Ravens looking for a win in which they are certainly going to be favored. I think I have the spread here. Ravens are favored by 4, which I feel like that's a little bit, in my opinion. But anyway, let's get right into it, Glenn. Let's talk about these matchups offensively and defensively. Talk to me about this Jags defense, because look, they spent a lot of money and draft equity on this unit. So talk to me about it.
Yeah, first I'll go through the numbers and then we'll start talking a little bit of personnel. But just from a numbers standpoint, the Jags give up 20.5 points per game, which ranks 14th in the league. They give up 357.7 total yards per game, which ranks 23rd in the league. And they give up, 5.7 yards per play, which ranks 20th. Now, the big numbers I like to look for is conversion numbers, third down, and red zone. And third down, opponents convert third downs at 42%, which is 24th in the league. And then red zone scoring, opponents score a touchdown on 59% of their red zone trips, which is 21st in the league. So, not something that's really, certainly they have a lot of room to grow in that category. But let me get a little more granular and talk about them as a run defense, because I think that's the area in which the Ravens will look to attack first and foremost. They give up 4.2 yards per carry on the ground on the season, which is 8th in the league. So that's actually one of their areas in which they do okay. 8th in the league is pretty solid. Still 4.2 though is nothing. I don't think the Ravens would be disappointed if they come out of that game averaging 4 yards per carry. Even though most of their backs, in fairness, are north of that. They do give up 110 rushing yards per game, which is 10th in the league. And then passing quickly, they give up, 247 through the air, which is 24th. And they give up a completion percentage of 63.8%, which is 12th. So not a defense that's gonna scare you too much, but also they got some guys. So let's get into some of the intricacies and talk about some of their players, because Jimbo, I want to get your take on this guy. Devin Lloyd opens the season winning Defensive Rookie of the Month for September. But what I'm hearing coming out of Jacksonville from some of their local beat reporters is that Devin Lloyd, your guy out of Utah, is on the verge of possibly getting benched for another rookie, a later round pick. Said that since that first month, he's looked relatively lost out there, especially in pass coverage. What do you make of Devin Lloyd and the regression that seems to be taking place?
Yeah, it's a bit odd. I'd like to blame it on everyone but him, but he certainly has to take some accountability. But this is what I'll say. I think he's a rookie. I think he plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they're 3-6 and
3-7
or 3-7. Excuse me. They maybe put a little bit too much on his plate too early.
Yeah.
And so I still think he's gonna be just fine. Everything's gonna be all right, and he'll get it together. I would like to know how much that defense is on the field as well, because certainly their offense is not lighting the world on fire. And, obviously the more you're on the field, the more you get exposed. Not saying that I'm just basically listing excuses at this point. But my opinion, my opinion is that he'll be fine. He'll turn it around and he'll be just okay. So no worries.
Let's hope he doesn't do it this
week, not this week. After that. Right. Sean Pisker says, "Hey boys, missed watching the videos. Had a lot going on. Hope you guys are well. Hope you both have an amazing holiday." Sean, thank you so much and appreciate the support as always. The nice thing is, if you don't catch us live, you can always watch it, and of course you can always listen to it anywhere you catch your podcasts. So, we try and make it as accessible as we can as possible for you guys. So yeah, feel free to go back. We got some good ones. We put up some good ones yesterday, Glenn, talking about the lack of action that Devin Duvernay is getting, and then what's happening to Dafe Owe. So make sure you guys go check that out as well. I think there were some good discussions had.
Yeah, no doubt. That's some puzzling topics there. But let's get back into some other defensive players. Obviously, the big pick this year, first overall pick, they take Trayvon Walker out of University of Georgia. He's got 2.5 sacks so far on the year. Not lighting the world on fire that I think most would have expected from the number 1 overall pick, but he's certainly getting the lion's share of attention from the opposing offensive coordinator, and they're helping out tackles, and they're doing some things. But 2.5 sacks, I think a bit of a slower start than they were expecting from him. Josh Allen, another edge guy, for a first round pick, I believe in 19 or 20. They just picked up his 5th-year option. He's not going anywhere. He's got 3 sacks on the season. Also, another guy I think that is a bit of a disappointment in his production level, but has all the talent. These are first-round picks, so they got the talent. But I think to this point, they're playing a little bit below the standard. Let's see if there's any other guys that jump out at me. Yeah, it's funny. Devin Lloyd actually does have a couple picks on the season, despite his coverage struggles this year.
Yeah, but might be someone in local media with a bone to pick.
That's true too. They have 9 interceptions as a team on the season. Of course, the Ravens lead the AFC in turnovers forced with, I believe, 19. But yeah, so a defense that is got a lot of talent, but just seems to like they haven't put it together. I'll say their secondary, not great coverage on the corners. They do got some pretty big hitters in the safety position. They will come up and put a lick on you. But I still look at this team and I try and search and find a way to like, how can they beat the Ravens? And man, Jimbo, I don't see it. I mean, they're struggling to affect the passer. That's not good.
Right.
They're okay against the run, but they're not great. And the area in which they struggle the most covering is the middle of the field, Jimbo.
It's a big problem.
That's a big problem, especially when you got Lamar Jackson coming to town, who that's his sweet spot. I mean, he's not the only one, but that's certainly an area in which he's going to be very comfortable trying to take advantage of if you struggle covering. So what's your thoughts when you look at this Ravens offense after the struggles in the first 3 quarters last week? How do you think they bounce back against this team?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm excited about this matchup. If you flip to the other side of the coin, like you mentioned, offensively for the Ravens, for a lot of things that you mentioned, but one of the things I that really comes to mind for me is them leaning on. They have a solid nucleus and a lot of young guys, and I feel like that's going to be difficult in a offense. They're 10th overall defending the rush. That is the Jaguars. And Ravens, I think right now we're second offensively in rushing the football. And so the thing that if you recall when Eric Weddle played against the Ravens as a Ram and how confusing and difficult it was for a guy who's known for being a cerebral football player like Eric Weddle to figure out where the football was going. Right now, imagine a young guy, right? This is, for some of these guys, I know we beat the brakes off of them back in 20, but for some of these guys, this is their first time seeing Lamar Jackson in this rushing attack. So I'm excited about that matchup. You mentioned they're giving up 4.2. I wouldn't be shocked if the Ravens average 5+ in this game, because it's just so difficult when you play against this offense for the first time. And so they got some, like you said, they got some draft picks and some young guys that are going to be doing that for the first time. So it's just going to be tricky. The Ravens offense, of course, right now is 13th overall, second in rushing and 27th in the pass, 9th in scoring, which I'm sure we went down a couple rungs after the game last week. Certainly didn't help. And you guys know all the big names, but over the middle field, Glenn mentioned likely go to Prize Picks and pick the over on Mark Andrews. Make yourself some easy money. Because I have a feeling it's going to be a heavy dose of Mark Andrews. I just want to, give a couple other things here before. It's the Ravens offense. You guys know them. So I'm just going to skate through a couple things here. We're averaging 25 a game right now. Our third down efficiency is at 44%. And, something to keep in mind is, our yards per attempt is 5.4. And so I don't even know if this is over under for us this week. But I would go over that
Mm-hmm.
average, right? I think that we do really well on the ground this week, and I'm excited about it. So I think the Ravens have a very favorable matchup offense to their defense. So I just, some people that come to mind, my breakout player for this game, Glenn, I could be sandbagging here, but I'm taking Lamar Jackson. The reason I'm taking Lamar Jackson is because he's been killing me in fantasy. I drafted Lamar Jackson early, and the first 3 weeks of the season, I looked like an absolute genius. And then guess what? It has not been the same. So I think Lamar Jackson bounces back in a big way. I think he's upset about his team only putting up 13 points. And I'll just roll on really quickly. My key before you give us your breakout player and your key is, I don't really know how else to put this. Dominate on the ground, but do it early. I don't know how many times we can count on our defense to keep us in games, and I don't want to start doing that as a habit. Where I never felt threatened against the Carolina Panthers, but I'm a little more nervous about the Jags offense, whatever the stats say, than the Panthers offense. So we got to put them away early, dominate on the ground, take their soul out early. Get it done in the first half. So what's your take on breakout player and offensive key to the game?
Yeah, so my breakout player, I'm a little bit nervous about the availability. I don't know if Mark Andrews' snaps might be impacted. I think he's going to play.
Yeah.
But I think that he may lose a little bit of snaps this week, just in effort to try and make sure he stays healthy and gets healthier as the season goes on. So I got Isaiah Likely as my breakout player. I think he's going to have an opportunity to run away from some of these linebackers that have been struggling. And I think Lamar Jackson has already shown that in the absence of Mark Andrews, him and Likely had a virtually instant connection. And let's hope that they can build on that with Mark Andrews by his side. I think Mark's going to get a ton of attention when he's out there, and that's going to give Likely an opportunity to maybe take advantage of some lighter matchups. So I got Isaiah Likely as my breakout player, and kind of correlates with that. My offensive key of the game is going to be dominate the middle of the field, take advantage of their struggling coverage in that area, and kind of pick them apart. But also, as a side note, you just can't beat yourself in this game. This isn't a team. The Jaguars don't get a ton of penalties or turnovers. They don't tend to help the other team that much, like we see in some of these bad teams that just like Baker Mayfield, who just is a turnover waiting to happen. And by the way, did you see he got benched for Sam Darnold after one game?
Wait a second. Quickly. Why isn't Joe playing?
I know. I think Mike White's getting the start up in New York.
Is he hurt?
No, they're crazy. They need to start Joe Flacco.
Anyway, that's ridiculous. That's a whole nother story. But
I digress. But the Jags don't shoot themselves too much in the foot. So don't go ahead and do the same thing. Don't go over, start turning the ball over, getting a bunch of penalties. Sure. But ultimately, mine is dominate the middle of the field, because that's the area in which they struggle the most protecting.
Yeah, let's get it done. Now, the one thing I will say, I was trying to find. Give me 1 second here, because I understand and I like your breakout player. But did you see the snap count for Mark in this last game? 1 week off of the. Hold on, I got it right here. My computer's just being slow. He played a surprisingly high number of snaps.
I got it. Mark Andrews played 93% of the snaps last week.
So that would be, I still think that Likely has a high likelihood of breaking out, but
they run a lot. Yeah, I do like that. They run a lot of two tight ends. Yeah,
they run. So I get it. But I thought that he would have a lesser role as they would kind of transition him in. Mark doesn't seem to be that type of guy.
Yeah, definitely not. If he's playing, he's getting his regular workload.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I love your key, and I love the breakout player.
Look, all he's got to do is catch one touchdown, one ball for a touchdown, and I look at your hair, Jimbo.
Sorry. But I know. We need likely though for the success of our postseason run. I think we need Likely to.
Yeah, we need somebody to step up. Right. I mean, look, we've had shout out to DeMarcus Robinson. No doubt that guy has stepped up in a big, big way. Yeah. But Devin Duvernay. Here's one thing I'll say, and I'm glad I just saw his name. I was thinking, remember when Mark Andrews had that game where he had like 1 or 2 catches, was a relative non-factor.
Yeah.
And everyone was talking about it. And then the next game, he got like the first 3 or 4 targets. And then I think that's the game he got hurt.
Yeah.
but he caught like the first 3. I think we're going to see the same thing from Devin Duvernay this week. I think get him involved right out the gate. Just let's get this guy going. And so I'm kind of disappointed that I'm just now thinking of this and didn't make him my breakout player, but that's okay. I think Devin Duvernay has an early role in this game to get him involved, to kind of get his juices flowing. And so watch out for Devin Duvernay in the first quarter of this game.
I love it. I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, let's switch around now and let's talk about the Ravens defense against their offense. We talked a bit about them offensively, but look, not a ton to write home about. The Jags offense is ninth overall, 7th in rush, 18th in passing, and 19th in scoring. So certainly below average. To kind of add to that, let me give you a couple more stats here when it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, they have Trevor Lawrence, the pronounced phenom under center, and like you said, a new coach in Doug Peterson, who has a history of having successful offenses. But right now they're averaging 21.6 points a game. Their third down efficiency is at 42%, which isn't terrible. Yeah. I mean, that's certainly not terrible. Some other things, of course, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's see here. When it comes to rushing and passing the ball, they're averaging per game 222 per game and 6.7 an attempt. Rushing the ball, they're over 5 yards an attempt, and per game, let's see here, that 140. So sounds like they need to rush the ball a little more. If they're over 5 an attempt and they're only at 140 a game, sounds like they need to be a little more committed to the rushing attack. Mm-hmm. A couple other notes that I just wanted to mention in the, let's see here, in the I think they're -1 in the, like you said, they don't turn the ball over a ton. Trevor Lawrence has got over 2,000 passing yards already. Travis Etienne has got over 700 rushing yards. And look, Christian Kirk is already at 680 when it comes to catching the football. Of course, came from the Cardinals. I wonder how the Cardinals feel about not paying him and having to pay Marquise Brown later on. But that's neither here nor there. Mm-hmm. We got Ty Linderbaum, and I think of all three, I'd rather have Linderbaum. So all that said, I think when you're talking about personnel, guys to focus on, just mention Christian Kirk, and Travis Etienne, of course, is a guy that he's versatile, does a lot out of the backfield, and their quarterback certainly has got juice, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he's still a young kid, and I don't think he's lived up to his Andrew Luck comparison potential yet, but he's got a lot of talent. So I'll be interested to see what they can do against our suffocating defense. But dude, Glenn, what I want you to do right now is talk to me about how good our defense is and how worried this offense should be.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly hitting on all cylinders, and it's a shame that we had the injury to Kyle Hamilton, because I think he was a big part of that, and he still will be. But I think the way he was playing was making this team extremely versatile and really tough to attack. But yeah, as far as the defensive rankings, they give up 19.9 per game, which is 10th in the league. They give up 336 yards per game, which is 15th. They give up third down conversions. This is where I love the conversion rates, Jimbo. That's my thing. Mm-hmm. They give up third down conversions at a 32% clip, which is second in the NFL. That's certainly impressive. Against the run, they give up just 4.1 yards per carry, which is 7th in the league. And let's see, they give up just 86 rushing yards per game, which is 3rd. And it should be no surprise. I mean, man, I was watching some of the tape from the first game, a full game with Roquan and Patrick Queen together. Jimbo, you talk about how getting one guy can make the guy next to him so much. I don't know what this has done to Patrick Queen, but this guy, I mean, I watched a clip of a play where I think Brian Baldinger was put this clip up. It was incredible. I mean, you got them two lined up at each other. You see immediately when the snap is made, they both attack different gaps in the offensive line. Patrick Queen puts a shoulder and forearm right into Bradley Bozeman's chops just to let him know, hey, you remember me?
Uh-huh.
Forces the running back to then cut to the other hole, which, by the way, who was there waiting for him? None other than Roquan Smith, and he eliminates him at the line of scrimmage. I mean, these two together are something special. And so even though they're currently number 2 against or number 3 against the run, I think they're going to continue to climb the rankings because, man, they're just a special group. And then you add the front, of course, in front of them and the guys behind them. Man, it's a special group. But as far as, let's see, they gave up, 249 passing yards per game, which is 26th. But let's remember, they were so far and away the last place team after those collapses against Miami and Buffalo that they got a lot of room to make up to start getting this ranking. But they're still trending in the right direction. They're at 26th in the league when they were by far the worst. Let's see. The Ravens are +9 in turnover differential.
Yeah, it's crazy.
+9. That's just absolutely insane. So yeah, this Ravens offense defense is really, really good. But I will say, just to give them some love, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, they're still not sold on him yet, but there's no doubt that the guy can run with the ball. He can make any throw with the ball. The question is, can he read defenses? Because right now, what I'm hearing coming out of Jacksonville is that he's basically a one-read guy. And if you can force him off that first read,
problems.
Big problems. And we know how the Ravens like to confuse. They like to twist. They like to stunt the line of scrimmage. They like to, show you a bunch of guys, drop some, rush the others. And I think they're going to have a chance to confuse him. So I think that's what they'll look for. ETN, dude, this guy, let's just tell you how weird this stat is. He has 202 receiving yards on the season, Jimbo, but he has 232 yak yards. So he obviously catches the ball a ton in the backfield, behind the line of scrimmage.
Right.
But then he makes, the guy's just super tough to tackle. So you got to get that guy on the ground. And you got to watch the quick screen game with these guys. Because like I mentioned, Trevor Lawrence is not looking to go through 4 progressions. He's looking to simplify things. 1 or 2, get the ball out. Let's get going, because the offensive line isn't the greatest. They're okay. But they can be confused. They can be had. So they got some guys on the outside. Christian Kirk, like you said, solid player. Zay Jones, their deep ball threat. They're looking, their quick threat. They're trying to get him the ball and see what he can do. But yeah, basically it's ETN, Christian Kirk, and those are the 2 guys you really got to slow down.
Yeah, 100%. Man, I can't wait to see what this defense does. Second week in a row where I feel like they're really firing on all cylinders. Of course, we'll be without Kyle Hamilton. And Marcus Williams is on his way back, while he won't be back quite yet.
He's practicing though, Jimbo. He's out there.
Crazy stuff, man. I know we're super excited about that. But Glenn, this is the most. Did we talk about our keys and our?
Yeah, give our key and breakout.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me give you my. I was about to jump ahead to our competition. I'm excited. But my defensive key to the game is play clean and no big plays that can change momentum. You talked about it in that they don't hurt themselves a lot, but we can't give up big plays or anything really that would keep a team that's inferior to you in the game long enough to where something could happen, right? They're at home. You keep them hanging around long enough, something's going to happen. So simply keep everything in front of you, no big plays, and play clean from a penalty standpoint. No roughing the passers, no easy 15-yard stuff. So I think if our defense can do that on top of the dominance that they've already shown, this game is in the books rather quickly. Those are the things I think are going to be important defensively for the Ravens. And my breakout player this game is going to be Marlon Humphrey. Part of the reason for that is because I feel like he was angry that he didn't get one last week, that he got screwed over by the refs. And then right after that, we saw him come out shortly thereafter and absolutely run through that receiver to get that interception. I expect that same of intensity off the jump for Marlon Humphrey. And I think he's going to get a pick. He's going to get a sack. Heck, he might even get a fumble recovery. Maybe that's too crazy, but I think he gets a pick and a sack in this game. I think he has a big one.
Man, I think that's a great. First of all, I wish I could isolate that when you go. I think he has a big one, but Marlon Humphrey, I think you're right, is going to have a breakout.
Family show, Glenn.
I'm just saying.
Family show,
I think he is going to have a big game, but I think his game won't be seen. His big game won't be seen in the stat sheet because, like I mentioned, he's kind of like a 1 or 2 read guy. Marlon will take away your first read.
Fair.
Well, Marlon, he'll take it away. And I think that's going to lead to some sacks and lead to some poor decisions that others will benefit because Marlon's going to eliminate that first read and force him to either hold the ball too long and allow the sack to come or throw it into some coverage elsewhere. because he's just rushing to try and find someone to get the ball to. So I think you're right. He'll have a big game. I'm not so sure it'll show up on the stat sheet. But for me, my defensive key is simply this. It's tackling. Got to get ETN on the ground. Got to get this quick screen game blown up at the line of scrimmage because they just want to – I mean, they're going to throw a bunch of them, Jimbo. They're going to try and get the ball out of the quarterback's hands and into a playmaker's hands and let him see what he can do with it. As long as we bring him to the ground, it's not going to be a problem. I don't think this is a team that's going to necessarily throw the ball a ton over your head, but they will look to get yak yards. So let's make sure we tackle well, which is why I'm super bummed out that Hamilton's not out there because that guy was just an eraser in open space with his length. The guy was playing phenomenal. I got Roquan as my breakout player. I think he's going to be a big part. Really, I could have picked him or Patrick Queen, and I just never thought I'd say. I'm so impressed with how Patrick's been playing since Roquan. We expected this from Roquan, but I did not expect Patrick Queen to embrace this new running mate, but also a bit of a healthy competition of sorts. You know, you're always competing with those in your room in certain ways. But I just love. But for me, I'm going to go with Roquan. I think him and Patrick will be the biggest responsible. They'll be the ones most responsible for shutting down Travis Etienne and helping out with the quick screen game as well. So I got Roquan as my breakout and tackling as my key to the game.
Like it. Looking forward to it. Let's see what Raymond Nelson has got to say here. Raymond says, "Happy Thanksgiving, fellas. I feel we are set up to really make a run. I hate looking ahead, but if we can stay healthy, JK specifically comes back and stays healthy, look out. Let's run the table. Flock." Yeah.
That's what you said, right, Jimbo?
Yeah, 100%. JK's one, but let's get 35 back. Let's get 35 back there and doing his thing, smashing people in the face, and then of course have that exciting competition of him or a combination, of him and Lamar coming out of the backfield in the rushing attack, which has always been effective from day one. So yeah, I mean, obviously I'm looking for JK to get back as well, but I agree with all your points, Raymond. No dispute from me.
Yeah, buddy. And happy Thanksgiving as well to you, Raymond.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the super chat here. All right, let's you know what time it is, Jimbo.
It is competition time. Hey, really quickly, can I just tell a quick story to everyone?
Sure.
For any of you that's been with us since day one, you'll know this, but we used to be just a podcast and we didn't have money to get like an audio mixer. So literally we would make our own sound effects.
Where my keys
Glenn used to, for our keys to the game, used to literally shake his keys next to the microphone. And then there was another one. What was the other one? There was another one that was really good.
Oh, what was the one where it was like what was that? Oh, the door? It was like a door.
Yeah, and I don't even remember what you would do.
I would I don't know, make some horrible sound effect with it was terrible.
Oh, you guys should go check that out if you're really bored. Go back to our very, very first, not on YouTube. Of course, you have to go to iTunes or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. But they're there in infamy. But anyway, when you were like competition time, made me think of like all the days, man. All the days.
Oh, yeah.
DK didn't even know who we were back then, dude.
No, probably not.
Hey, Jesus.
And now look
all
at
right.
it.
Well, Glenn, really quickly, before we get into our competition, you going to make some free money this weekend?
Oh, guys, I know you've been watching. It's here. It's in Maryland. Sports betting is now here, so we don't have to watch Jimmy brag when he's traveling and putting in all these bets elsewhere because it wasn't legal here, and I don't have to drive right over the PA line. I don't have to head to Delaware. I don't have to do anything like that because it's here in Maryland, of course, in Baltimore as well. Check out Prize Picks. They got some absolute slam dunk over-unders. I think there's some steals on the Thanksgiving Day slate. So at the very least, check out the Thanksgiving Day slate of games because some of them are gimmies. I mean, some of them are layups. They're just giving away money. Check out Prize Picks. Use promo code 410 and get a match up to your first $100. It's a no-brainer. Literally, if you go to the slate on Thanksgiving, they're basically handing you money. It's insane. So definitely check out Prize Picks.
Yeah, 100%. Really excited about that. And of course, it's an easy way for you guys to make some free money and support the show. So it's a double whammy. So make sure to go check it out. All right. Legitimately this time, competition time. So Glenn, I'll give you the floor. You can run point on this one and we'll get going.
Let's do it. So the first over under, if you guys haven't watched or if you're new to the show, each week we have a series of over unders and closest to the pin tiebreaker competition. First, it's amongst us on the on the show. And then we also open up to the fans to submit their responses either this way right above my head, a private DM, or wait for the live to be over to submit it in the comments below. Submit your answers. We announce the winner, and the winner gets a shirt in the mail.
And just to add to that, shirts have been sent. For those of you that are wondering, I think we got some DMs about it. I know that right now with the holidays, it's a bit slow, like it's a couple weeks out, but things are being sent. Don't worry. You'll get it in the mail when you least expect it.
That's right. Maybe right in time.
That's right.
For Christmas.
That's right.
But yeah, first over under is Jimbo. Over under Ravens wide receiver targets 10.5. What do you say?
Yeah, I think this one's interesting. I also think it's interesting that you waited for DK and I to put in our answers before you strategically started putting in yours. I'm gonna have to start calling you intern Brad. I know you want to win, but
look, Brad will do it Sunday at 10. At least I'm doing it now.
No. But the one thing I'll say is I'm going over on this one. Part of the reason I'm going over is exactly what you said. I think Duvernay gets the ball early and often. I think he gets 5 catches. That's halfway there, right? Well, I mean, just under half. But, I think him alone gets this could be his biggest game for targets of the season. And I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm going over on this one. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go over as well. I think that they're going to make a concerted effort to get the ball to the wide receivers. Now, the question is, does those 10.5 targets turn into receptions and yards and touchdowns, hopefully, or are they just empty targets like we've seen oftentimes over the last few games to some of these wide receivers, specifically Devin Duvernay when he had the New York game, he goes 5 targets, 1 catch. That's my only question. Is it 10.5 empty targets, or are we talking, 10.5 targets for 10 catches, 100 yards, and a tutty? That would be ideal. But I'm going to say over on the targets because I think they make an effort to get those guys involved. So let's get into the next one. Over under Ravens rushing long. So how long will the Ravens' longest run of the day be? Jimbo, will it be over or under 21.5 yards?
Oh, it's going to be over.
What I think is hilarious is the banner says 21.5. The doc says 19.5. What? DK, see? He's trying to get us. You see what he's doing? He's trying to get us.
Explain yourself, Daniel.
But
I think it's over. I think this was I think we'll break one off, whether it's Drake or Lamar. I think
so
Lamar
we're going to go 19. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I think Lamar averages almost half this. He averages what, like 8 yards a carry right now or something?
Yeah.
So yeah.
But he does have the hip pointer, apparently.
He's my breakout player of the game.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to say over as well, but I don't think it comes from Lamar. I think it comes from Gus Edwards. I think.
Ooh, love that. I wouldn't be surprised.
That's
but
right.
Gus he'll get like 8 12-yarders
in the first half.
And then you really start to see him breaking through in the second half.
Yeah, they're tired of tackling that horse, man. He's too big. He's too strong.
Yeah.
They're tired of it. So I say over. We agree. DK says under. That's, I think, the first disagreement amongst us three. All right. Over under Jaguars yards per play for the game, Jimbo. DK sets the over under at 4.05. Very specific. I got a feeling he pulled that from somewhere. But what do you think? Will they have under or over 4.05 yards per play?
I'm going over.
You hate the Ravens.
No. The reason I'm going over is because I think it'll still be a dominant win for the Ravens, but I don't think they're gonna have the ball a ton. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens just dominate in time of possession. So I'm going over for the Jags. You got to give them a little respect. Goodness, we're not talking about Baker Mayfield and the Panthers here.
Yeah, I think that you're probably right. I'm going to pick the opposite and say under. I think the reason you'll be right is because they're going to have an opportunity to try and make up some ground. And so I think because of that, they'll have some, they'll air it out a little bit. But I'm just so bullish on this defense. I think that, maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I think there's also a chance that they can totally confuse Trevor Lawrence, force him off his first and even second read, force him into some turnovers. And I have no doubts that the Ravens can shut down this rush attack, even with, I think, a talented running back like Travis Etienne. I still think they struggle in a big way. I say under 4 yards per play. That's right. Dominant defense this game. And the last over-under on defense is going to be Jags turnovers committed. DK sets it at 1.5. What do you say, Jimbo?
No, I think it's just going to be a fun game. We're going over. Over on this one. Whether that's comes in the form of fumble, interception, combination of the two, I'm going over. What about you?
Yeah, I say over also. They lead the AFC in turnovers forced, so why should it stop now against a Jaguars team that's 3-7? I see no reason. Also, Trevor Lawrence is he'll certainly throw the ball to the other team. On the season, he is 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, but he's also lost a couple on the ground. So, yeah, I say two turnovers, just barely over that total. Let's see here. What's the next one? Yeah. So you guys gonna have to forgive us on the last week's winner. We still have yet to.
Oh yeah, it's a busy
we kind of
week.
surprised. Yeah, we kind of surprised DK by going live. I think he thought we were doing this
on
Friday.
It was all our fault.
So it was all our fault. So, but we will certainly announce last week's winner in the very near future. But all right, let's go into the total score. DK sets it at 43.5 points for the total. What do you say, Jimbo?
Yeah, I'm going over. I'm going just over. Of course, this is what won me the week last week in picking the under. But I think the Ravens offense is going to bounce back in a big way in the scoreboard. I think the game ends up being 31-13. The Ravens offense is going to mash them. And like I said, I'd said 43.5 if my math is correct. I said it at 44. So I'm going over. I think the Ravens win, and this offense really takes off in this game.
Nice. All right. Well, I go under 27-13. Ravens win. So they barely go under the total. They'll be getting to 40. But yeah, easy win. Handle. I think this will be a game where we finally get to relax, because that damn Carolina game was supposed to be that. It was 3-3 after 3. You can't really kick your feet up after that one. So looks like we disagree on that one as well. I love when I see us disagreeing, Jimbo, because we know how often I'm right and you're wrong.
Who won last week?
Look. I look to the future, Jimbo. Okay.
Yeah.
I look forwards. All right. I don't even remember. Was there a week I don't even remember last week, dude, because I'm all about the future. You know what I'm saying? Where are my shades at? Because it's bright. The future's bright. I got to get my shades. I don't know where they went.
All right, let's go to the next one.
All right. Last one is the closest to the pin. Total yards. How many are they getting, Jimbo?
Yeah, so I'm going 405 for the Ravens. And I feel pretty good about that number. I like that Glenn strategically split both DK and I.
Is that what I did?
Oh, yeah, 405.
I didn't even notice that. I'm going to go 383 for the Ravens. That's crazy. It is right in between where you and DK, but that could be bad for me because I have a very small window, right?
Yeah.
So don't look at it. Okay. This was all off the top of the head.
Right. Frame it however you want.
Yeah, it's off the top of the head.
Either way, you're already going to have lost at this point. So,
well, I got the Ravens getting 383 yards total. I think they'll have some short fields, but very successful nonetheless. But yeah, that's it for my predictions. But guys, please participate. We love it.
Yeah.
Appreciate Katie hyping up the chat, dude.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Participating.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving, Katie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell your family I said happy Thanksgiving.
Is Tanya watching?
No, she's feeding Henry.
Well, she could be watching while she's feeding.
That is true, but it's kind of difficult to do both at once.
But shout out to Tanya, shout out to Henry, and of course your in-laws, and you, man, you're my guy. Dude.
I'm thankful for you on Thanksgiving, dude.
That's right. Couldn't do this with anyone else. Right. No doubt about it. Yeah, so appreciate you doing this with me, Jimbo. No matter what's going on, we live busy lives, and yet here we are. DK got the winner. Man, you see this? If you guys only knew what DK is doing right now, the fact that he's still with us, and not only with us, but also, announcing winners here. This is pretty impressive. So
yeah,
I'm not sure if I have the name. Are you creating a banner here? Oh, here we
go. Shout out to Devon Johnson.
Last week's competition winner submitted his answers on YouTube. So Devon, to claim your prize, you simply send us a direct message right there. Please do not comment your address in a public comment. Send us a direct message on one of those. He got 3 of the 4 correct, which I believe is better than we did.
Yeah,
I think we both tied with 2, and then you won on the tiebreaker. But Devon, please message us on any of those right above me. Send us your address and your shirt size, and voila, you will have some 410 swag in the mail.
That's right. Absolutely. And make sure, like Glenn said, you guys continue to participate. Every week gets bigger and bigger. Make that job harder for DK. I know it's the best part of his week. So shout out to Devin Dukes. Sup, James. Sup, Glenn. Sup, Devin. Hopefully you have a nice holiday full of good food, good family, and good football.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. That's it for us tonight.
Yep.
But we'll certainly be back after the game. Hope you guys have a great holiday, and we'll talk soon.